I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
There he is. He just had Geek Squad over to mount his TV. I had to drop my streaming laptop off at Geek Squad a couple days ago. We're giving Flagrant Howls is giving Geek Squad all the business this week, apparently.
Finally, after many weeks, got a TV mounted. Got a couple TVs on the Labor Day sale, so we upgraded from a 60-inch to a 77-inch Sony Bravia OLED, and then 14 other letters and numbers. But I'm excited. It was great for week 1 of football. I'm so excited to start watching. The first thing I did once the TV was set up, so good. The first thing I did once the TV was set up in the sound bar, I'm a sound bar guy now. They're like, hey, just put something on, see how clear it is. So I was like, went to YouTube and I typed in Wolves Nuggets Game 7. And me and the Geek Squad guys are just watching the greatest comeback in Timberwolves history.
Like, so check this out. Okay, this is where it all turns in the third quarter right here. Watch this defensive stand.
Watch Mike Conley here.
Yeah, orchestrating the offense. So Kyle Theige, Phil Mackey, Flagrant Howls, dead of the offseason. Gearing up, though, because in a few weeks we've got actual training camp and then preseason games. And before you know it, Target Center is going to be packed again. We're going to have actual NBA games in less than 2 months. So we're getting closer here. But we figured we have a couple fun talkers on the horizon here. But we figured in addition to Random Wolf of the Week, which we will get to, expansion has been in the air here. Now that the NBA has locked in their multi-bajillion-dollar TV deal and their future, it's pretty clear that they're going to be looking at Seattle and probably Las Vegas for their next 2 markets sometime in the next few years, which means there will be an expansion draft for the first time since the Bobcats. When's the last time we had an expansion draft?
Okay. We might need stats and research on this, but I actually did I know this is going to be a little bit of a bit here and a little bit of an exercise, so I don't have a full mapped out. I have a concept of a plan, but I think the last expansion draft was 1989.
Oh, okay. So like Magic or Heat?
So 1989,
Timberwolves.
2 teams were added to the league, the Orlando Magic and your Minnesota Timberwolves.
So how'd the Bobcats get their team? The Hornets moved to Charlotte?
I don't know that one. I should know that one. I remember that the Hornets were in New Orleans, obviously, and then they moved, and now they're the Charlotte Hornets again.
Yeah.
So I will have to look into that. That's bad prep by me. But off the top of your head really quick, 1989, Magic and Timberwolves. Do you know who the first pick was by the Timberwolves in that expansion draft?
In the expansion draft. Is it one of the TCs that we had in Random Wolf of the Week?
So this, by the way.
Was it Tony Campbell?
So many ways to go. This is going to be awesome when the league does finally expand, because Adam Silver, they had a Board of Governors meeting this week. Nothing new on the ownership front for the Wolves, but Adam Silver did say that they will address publicly expansion later this season. Like you said, probably Vegas, probably Seattle. Yeah. It's going to add a ton of money to all these other owners because you're going to get a fat check. But if they do a draft, you were out here in Seattle during COVID, but that's when the Seattle Kraken had their expansion draft. Like If you like
Vegas hockey had, so the Golden Knights had one like 3 years beforehand, and I don't know all the intricacies of the NHL expansion draft, but they basically I think teams couldn't protect as many players as before, so the Golden Knights got to draft a badass team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals in their second year. So we'll come back and fill in these cracks, but you want to lead us through a fun exercise where we hypothetically have to protect players on the Wolves roster from an expansion draft, and sort of play pseudo general manager here. But back to your trivia question.
Yeah, do you know it yet? Because we can't go any further until
was it Tony Campbell?
Tyrone Corbin was the second pick.
Okay, it's
by the Wolves, but the
first
Pooh?
pick, Pooh?
Rick Mahorn.
Rick Mahorn,
who, according to my friends at Wikipedia, I think refused to show up to Minnesota. He refused to report to the Timberwolves and was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers prior to the start of the season. A couple other guys the Wolves had taken: Steve Johnson, Brad Lohaus, David Rivers, and Mark Davis. Anyway, that just got me thinking. All this stuff, it's the middle of September. What else to talk about? But we know expansion is coming. We know expansion will include a draft. back in '89, I think you could protect 8 players. I don't want to sound like JJ Redick here with the Plumbers controversy, but talent probably not as much back then as it is now. Shout out to Ross producing the show. He said there was allegedly a Bobcats expansion draft in 2004. So,
and I'm going to quiz you on it.
oh my God,
There was a Bobcats expansion draft.
do you know the Bobcats were named? I think after the owner at the time. I think his name was Bob. I'm dead serious. I think they named him the big if they were the Phil Wolves or something. If you owned the team,
His name was Bob, or was it John Bobcat?
yeah, something like that. So who was their first pick?
I'm trying to see the order in which. Is there like an order? It doesn't really matter. You just select the team, don't you? I
Yep.
think that's maybe what they did. So can you name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Apparently they selected 19 players. Yeah, because then you bring them into camp and you cut some guys. Can you name even like 3 or 4 of the 19 players?
I don't think I don't. Oh my! When I think Charlotte Bobcats, I just think Adam Morrison because those uniforms are so gross. But he would have been like actually drafted from the league, like in the NBA draft.
Definitely a former Timberwolves draft pick on this initial Bobcats roster.
So this is the inaugural Bobcats roster. Was Steven Jackson on that team?
Steven Jackson was not on that team.
I don't think I'm going to get any of these. Who was on that inaugural roster?
There's a former Wolves second round pick.
Well,
if I somehow miraculously am stealing Ross's random Wolf of the week by making you guess that,
you get 10 points. Give me the whole roster because I don't remember who was
Lauren Woods.
Oh yeah, okay.
Jahidi White.
Mm-hmm.
Gerald Wallace, who was an all-star, I think, at one point, wasn't he? Jeff Trepanier? Naga, not gonna work here anymore. Theron Smith, Tamar Slay, Jamal Sampson, Alexander Pavlovich, Jaja Pachulia, Jason Capono, sniper 3-point shooter guy, right? Brandon Hunter, Richie Fromm, Marcus Pfizer, Desmond Ferguson, Prodrig Drobjnak, not gonna play here. Maurice Carter, Primoz Brezic, J.R. Bramer, and Lonnie Baxter was your
Lonnie Baxter
Charlotte Bobcats expansion team.
That's tough. I got to go back and look now at how many players were protected. But so 89 Wolves come into the league, Magic come into the league, eight protected players per roster. And again, if you're protecting guys and in this hypothetical we're about to do, if you don't protect Luka Garza, that leaves him available to be selected. But the chances are pretty high that those players will return back. So just because what we're about to do, Phil and I might not protect a certain guy, that doesn't mean that he's going to be lost. It just means that he is essentially not protected.
He could be lost potentially.
So again, concept of a plan, not a full thought out thing here, but 8's too many, in my opinion. I would imagine the NBA will do like 7 protected players, but for our exercise today, Phil, I'm going to give you 6 protected players.
6. Wow, dude.
And we are going, and now everything factors in, right? Like when you
full contract, right?
Full contract, age, all that stuff. You are literally taking a player from the Timberwolves roster and putting him in Seattle, in Las Vegas, in Louisville, wherever they have these 2 expansion teams. So do you have your list? Can you do it off the top of your head? Do you want me to go first? We're going to protect 6 players on the current roster.
Let's agree on Anthony Edwards, right? Let's do like the easy ones, unless you're down on Ant. You know, if you're already out on Ant and you want to get out from underneath the max contract, I think we agree we're protecting Anthony Edwards, right?
I think we will protect Ant for sure.
How does it work? So if you've got like Rudy Gobert, let's say the expansion draft was happening right at the end of this season, or like right now before the season, and Rudy Gobert has 2 years left on his deal, but 1 is a player option. So they would literally, like Seattle would literally be taking his exact contract, right?
Yep.
Okay, so they'd be getting like a year of Gobert. So what I'm saying is some of the strategy might be Gobert is clearly one of the 3 best players on the team. But would his contract situation, would a team want him for, or would a team, as I talk through this, love to have a veteran center defensive guy to be competitive and then free up the cap situation because he'd probably opt out with his player option? Or would they want to just be as bad as possible and take crappy players? That's the chess game that you're trying to figure out here, I feel like. Would they want to be good right away, or would like kind of competitive, like play-in, or would they be tanking?
I remember with the Kraken, they might have had the ability to like negotiate new deals with the players who are
and
unprotected.
trades. I think trades too.
And I have a friend that works for the Blazers front office, and they were saying like they're a little in the dark. This will become a really fun topic because it does kind of blend in all of the things that your casual NBA fan loves, right? Like it is fantasy football in a sense of building new rosters and drafting and selecting and all that stuff. So, but I don't want to get too in the weeds here because I do want to just give you my 6. So I have my 6. You have your 6. I think that you're working on the fly. So we have agreed on Ant.
Okay.
I'm going to give you my other 5. And then I want you to give me your other 5. And
okay, and then I'll fight you on 1 or 2 of them. Probably.
And then we're assuming again. So my 6, all things considered, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, Rob Dillingham. I consider those 4 the core 4 of this team. Different ages, different salaries. Naz Reid has a player option next summer as well, so there's some contract stuff there. Rob Dillingham, the 8th overall pick for the Wolves. My 5th protected player is Karl-Anthony Towns. And last but not least, I chose Terrence Shannon Jr.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
And my rationale is, no offense to Bite, but he is just older. I would imagine that our expansion team probably isn't looking for that type of player, even though Mike is on a really good contract. And then the Rudy stuff, we are, 1 week removed from you and I literally defending him to the death. I just wonder, with his age and a potential contract stuff, does he demand the max money again? Does he take a Mike Conley discount? All that stuff that we'll figure out in this season and next summer. But I chose to basically go with Carl over Rudy based on age. And I also think the next chapter of this team, this is so far in advance, but is more of a spread the floor again, run and gun type team built around athletes and shooting. And maybe they finally say the Rudy Gobert experiment worked really well, but we're good with it. So those are my 6 protected players. I went really young, and Carl was kind of the 6th player in there.
Oh my gosh, I love this exercise because it's also kind of like a roster referendum episode at the same time. It's how do you really feel about some of these players? So, and in this hypothetical too, the exercise is being done 2 months before the start of the season. So like in theory, you if Rudy gets taken by the expansion Seattle Supersonics or whatever, then you don't get Rudy Gobert for the 2024-25 season. And you don't get you don't get any like player compensation. Do you get do you get anything, or do they just do you get like a draft pick, like a second? You don't get anything, right? They just take your player.
This is where my friend said we're a little in the weeds. It's got to be kind of flushed out, but no, I think it's just off your books. At least in this scenario, the 89 one, if you dig into a little bit, I think that's how it played out too. But again, this is just for this exercise. If you play it at home, play with your friends. Seattle and Vegas have the ability to just pluck any player they want from any team.
See, this is what's tough because you just made in the short term by making Rudy Gobert available, and this is the chess match. If they're looking to be competitive, they would 100% take Rudy Gobert.
Correct.
But if they really don't care about being competitive, then it's a good move for you to like maybe keep a Terrence Shannon Jr., Rob Dillingham protected, knowing that they're not going to take Gobert. So I'm kind of going into this exercise thinking that they're going to want to be the Vegas Golden Knights, where hey, let's put together the most competitive team possible and let's try to make a run at this thing. And also, if you risk losing Rudy Gobert and you put him out there and make him available, you don't just like trade Gobert for assets. You lose Gobert and your team is worse going into a season in which we think they can maybe compete to go to the NBA Finals. So I do have to push back aggressively on the Gobert front. So let's put that in a bin. Now, Cat, you might think, oh, Phil's the Karl Anthony Towns hater here. But I'm not foolish, okay? I may pick nits with Karl's game and his maturity and things like that, but he is a really good basketball player, and he is a really valuable contract. And I mean, in some ways, like, I don't know that I really want to be paying $60 million for Cat's like age 32 season. So in some ways, the contract is an albatross, but he's also a really good player in his prime and did great work defensively on Kevin Durant and Nikola Jokic. I'm not giving him up for nothing. If he's a guy that I think I could move at some point for like 3 first-round picks, but this is where trades do come in. If ordinarily the expansion draft happens like I think before the draft, so then they'd be able to potentially trade future first-round picks, and you could swing a deal that way. But because we're doing this exercise, after the draft and before the season, my main priority is I want the 2024-25 Wolves to be good. So I'm probably, God, 6, man. I'm probably going Ant. I'm keeping Ant. I'm keeping Cat. I'm keeping Gobert. I'm keeping Jaden, Nas, and I'm keeping Dillingham. I think Terrence Shannon Jr. is better today. He's older, more physically mature, probably fits better with like a 10 to 12 minute role, player thing. But if the vision of Dillingham works out in 2 or 3 years, could be monster with Anthony Edwards. So I guess I'm leaving Terrence Shannon Jr. and he probably gets swooped up. Unfortunately,
I was treating this exercise more like NCAA football 2006. Pretty basic, couple of cool features. I was not treating it like the new game where like your players can have burner accounts. So I know you would love more details. I can see it in your eyes how much you're loving this exercise. Your answer was essentially just the 6 best players, right? Like
because I want the best team in 2024-25.
And I will say as a footnote, I was probably thinking more of this as like next summer this could happen, even though we're doing it obviously September 2024. But the one thing I thought when it came, because Ant and Jaden, in my opinion, are like no-brainers, right? I would imagine Rob Dillingham, despite never playing an NBA game, is a no-brainer based on his age, his contract, his upside.
Yeah.
Naz Reid probably is the 4th no-brainer just because it's Naz Reid.
He makes $13 million. Yep. They would take him. Seattle or Vegas would take him, make him a starter, play him 30-plus minutes, and probably give him a contract extension for double what he's making now, right?
So in this hypothetical, I really did think, in my opinion, Phil, you have to unprotect one of the 2 centers, Karl or Rudy, based on the fact that if they don't get snatched up, you get them back and you're still good. But I was doing that under the premise of, and this will be a conversation that we have all year, I think, especially next spring. I said to you 2 weeks ago, can you imagine a world where Naz Reid is not on this team? Just like not only his production and his story, but like just his love for the city and the city's love for him. So
you see those step back threes he's working on his Instagram account too.
That is an absolute. He is that
crossover dribble, step back threes.
So I was kind of doing it as if you unprotected one of the really, really expensive centers on your team that could get poached. You would then, again, you're making really great points. You're not getting any assets. You're not getting any draft capital. But you would, in this one random scenario, literally just clear up cap space, right? Like you would just be getting 60
You
million.
wouldn't though.
Well,
because you're so far over the cap. I know that I'm taking this exercise way deeper than you.
No, you're right.
You want the smoke.
No, I'm saying you're right. You're not going to have cap space to go sign someone else. I worded that poorly. But you would have more available money, hypothetically, to then pay Naz Reid next year and not have to be paying a $190 million tax bill in 25, 26. So you're right. You wouldn't have cap space.
You've always been a Glenn Taylor pocket protector.
Right. I'm always looking out for my guy, Glenn. So that's why I thought you had to unprotect one of those 2. But a side note, some shrapnel, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, good player. But yeah, he would not be protected under any scenario. You should be able to, like, he's super impactful role player, but you should be able to find and cultivate
sort of the 3-and-D energy players. I mean, maybe Terrence Shannon Jr. can be that, or maybe there's another like $4 or $5 million player. The one guy that we have completely breezed past with zero probing or discussion is Jaden McDaniels. Is there any discussion to be had there? Because, dude, I know, and you were right. Last year, the argument was, people were putting him through like a contract referendum in a year in which he was making $2 million. But now he makes $23 million starting this year. That contract kicks in. Defensively, one of the best in the NBA. Offensively, I don't know that you put the total package together and say, yep, that's a $23 million a year player in a salary cap league. So is there any discussion that you would make him available and say, that contract actually is a little fatter than maybe we thought a year ago?
I'm open to any discussion in life. I might not respect your discussion or your opinion, but back to your point, right? When you dive into the assets and stuff, I don't know what the league would value a Karl-Anthony Towns at $60 million, a little more proven, a little older in a deal, or a Rudy Gobert who has 1 year left before player option and he's older and stuff. Whereas, like, at least if you kept Jaden as one of your protected 6, you're going to get good value for him in a hypothetical trade if you were ready to move on from him. Yes, he got a substantial pay raise, but he's also coming off all second team defense. And like, I do think he is a guy that's going to be under the microscope this next year, because when you do get paid more, you do have to, take it to another level. So his offense will be something I'm sure we talk about in October and November, but I don't know how you would unprotect an asset like that that's under contract for, 4 more years. You have team control. He's coming off his best season defensively. So you wouldn't unprotect him, but maybe you would protect him and then do what you said about like a trade. But to me, he's a lock next to Ant. So,
Conley too, I don't think there's room in the 6 here, but again, if your goal is to, well, okay, hold on. Actually, as I talk through this, okay, if the primary goal is do not, because these players would be swooped up for zero compensation. So you would just be losing these players right before a season in which you are one of the maybe 6 best teams in the NBA. And if you were to take Mike Conley off this thing, even at his age, like Mike Conley's, he's your best, second best 3-point shooter. It's Carl and him as your best 3-point shooters. He's your floor general. You don't have a whole lot of guys behind him that you trust to like run point on this team and organize leadership behind the scenes. Your team gets a lot worse this season if you take away Mike Conley versus Rob Dillingham or Terrence Shannon Jr. So I could actually talk myself into, if winning as many games this year is the most important thing, Ant, Jaden, Naz, Conley, Gobert, Cat, cross your fingers on Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. No, hold on. Can they take both those guys or only one?
Ooh, that's another good question. I think you can. I think once the pool of players is available, you can kind of take anyone.
Or once they take one, you then get to protect one or something, I think.
I was just kind of thinking, like, if I put 6 guys behind a paywall and they're protected, everyone, like, if Seattle wanted to take Leonard Miller, Luka Garza, everyone, they could do that. So Rob Dillingham, that's another one. It's like, is he a guaranteed lock to be protected? He's never played before. That contract is one of the sexiest parts about that player and asset. You have him under team control. Hypothetically, especially when these guys don't really turn down rookie deals, extensions, you kind of have them for like 9 years, or at least you think. So, but I will say that this exercise also reminded me of a topic you and I have kind of hammered for the last 2 years. The team is so deep. Like, if you were to go do this and use the 6 protections for some other teams, there are some teams that it's harder to get to 6, right? Whereas like you and I are thinking, man, it would be nice if they could protect 8 or 9. So it was an interesting, it's kind of the perfect September podcast topic. I can just see it in your eyes.
This is great.
You're going to be texting me all night about, what if
I'm going to be fighting you via text like later tonight. Dude, no, the more I think about this.
They're going to take Leonard Miller right away. So
if you're the league, how many should the number, because it's not like they have a
good question.
Because they've only done one of these since 1989. So it's not like they have a tried and true formula. They could kind of tweak how this works. If you're Adam Silver, or Adam Silver says Kyle Theige, you get full unilateral control over the expansion draft. So you get to decide, do you allow teams to keep 8 and it's just complete scrap? Like, these are just guys that are barely practicing during the week, let alone getting into an NBA game. Or do you allow teams to only keep 5 and now like actual legit high-end NBA players are available? How quickly do you want Seattle and Vegas to be good is the question. Because if it's, I didn't go deep into the details of the last time they did this 20 years ago, but it looks like teams could protect most of their rotation so that Lauren Woods is like your third best pick in that expansion draft. What would you want to see? Would you want to see fewer players protected, thus expansion teams are better? Or would you want to screw the expansion teams?
5 would be insane because you also don't want to just, and I'm sure the owners, the 28 or the 30 owners right now that exist would be like, hey, you're not just going to come in and be better than us. So I would imagine the number is closer to 7, maybe 8. If you get to 8, again, in a hypothetical world, Phil and I would have had a much easier time doing 8. You could just protect all 5 starters, Rob, Nas, and Terrence Shannon Jr. Sorry to Nikhil, but like that team that's safe. Your whole rotation is pretty much protected. But then if you do 8 for like, I don't know, I just pulled up the Lakers, you're looking at, Seattle's taking Dalton Connect or Cam Reddish or something. So I don't know. I would imagine those 2 expansion teams are probably going to be kind of bad early on. I don't know if they'll be granted early picks in like whatever draft happens after they expand or whatever. So that'll help. But I would bet a lot of money if I talked to Adam Silver that it would be these 2 expansion teams are going to be worth $6 billion each, and they're going to start out pretty slow, but have the ability to go get a, maybe a Rudy Gobert, or I'm trying to think of like maybe Kristaps Porzingis, to have a year or two and kind of have a notable player on your roster.
They should add another layer where, well before the roster construction even, that each team, each franchise, you get across the entire organization, every employee beneath ownership counts as part of your protected. So you can choose if you want to protect your coach or your GM instead of a player. Like, how much do you value Tim Connolly compared to Jaden McDaniels, for instance? And if you don't protect Tim Connolly, then they get to poach Tim Connolly to organize this whole ordeal.
I was like, hey, Phil, we don't have a lot to talk about in September. You want to do an expansion draft? And you're like, do you want to do Hunger Games where one person gets eaten? Yeah, that would also be fun. You get to protect, like I think you throw owners in there too, but you get to protect 3 non-players, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe 2, I don't know. Or maybe 1. Maybe you get to protect 1 non-player within, like, what was it? Gary Vitti for the longest time wasn't he the head trainer for the Lakers? They probably would have protected him. While like the Lakers were going through their Kurt Rambis or all the different coaches that were terrible during the end of Kobe's run. But yeah, I mean, would you protect Tim Connolly,
Mike Honori, just for the the levity?
Would you protect Chris? That would be fun too. So what I can tell, and I'm very proud of this, is that with all the football stuff going on and having the best football podcast in the state and in the country, you have not thought about this much. But expansion is coming. It was confirmed, kind of privately or quietly this week. And it's going to be a fascinating conversation because, again, it does the NBA more than any other sport, right? Just fans love transactions. They love the drama, the rumors, all that stuff.
Right.
And also, too, we didn't even touch on this 30 minutes in. If it was 6, let's just say, and the Wolves decided against protecting a Carl or a Rudy in the NBA, man, imagine how much drama that would create.
I know. Because if you're sending messages, you'd have to massage that, right? You'd have to kind of go to the player and say, listen, man, this is poker. And we don't so we've heard that they aren't going to try and compete. And so they're not going to take your contract. We love you, dude. Like, we already talked to them. But yeah, oh man, especially because the last time we did this, Instagram didn't exist,
it's going to get
how
messy.
many players would be left unprotected and then unfollow their franchise on social media? Oh, just be glorious. Yeah, dude, I totally forgot we were doing this until like 25 minutes ago. And this is great. This is one of the best off-season episodes we've done so far. So if you guys have ideas for other random things you'd like us to do in the next like 7 weeks until there's actual basketball, send us ideas, hit us up, via Twitter/X, Kyle Theige, Phil Mackey, or in the YouTube comment section. Before we get to a random wolf of the week, KW Outdoor Solutions is here for those of you like us. We're holiday lights, not just holiday season. We'll put lights up. Sort of festive, like we'll put orange lights up during Halloween, whatever. KW Outdoor Solutions will do it all for you. They're your one-stop shop for outdoor holiday lighting. Design, installation, maintenance, takedown, storage, roof lines, trees, shrubs. They will do it all. Maybe if you're just doing like classic holiday colors, they can do that. Maybe it's Wolves colors during maybe for the in-season tournament. You want to ramp it up with some Wolves colors or something. KWOutdoorSolutions.com. KWOutdoorSolutions.com. All right, Kyle, let's get our guy in here. Producer extraordinaire, Ross Brendel, captain of the Random Wolf of the Week. Roscoe, what's going on, man?
I almost didn't make it. The email machine is going crazy today, boss.
A lot of emails coming in today. Yeah, people
They're
are all
just
excited.
left and right today.
Yeah. So here's how this works. Good? We're doing well. We just pretty much broke down a hypothetical thing that's going to happen in 2 years for the last half hour. And
for the record, I could have named a few of those Charlotte Bobcat teams because back in the day, I believe it was NBA Live. I started a franchise with them. Jason Capono was a sniper. Very old Gerald Wallace was a nice contributor.
He could dunk, get up a little bit. Yeah.
And there were a few other names. Marcus Pfizer. There were a few other names that you said that I recognized, but
those are random Bobcats.
Gross roster.
We got some random Wolves here. And so Kyle has a 19-10 lead all time on me. I won last week by guessing Jordan McLaughlin. Before that, it was Kyle with Tony Campbell, Kevin Martin, and Jeff Teague. Before that, Felton Spencer. So Ross is going to throw out a series of clues. We each get a heat check guess right off the top that has no bearing on the other three strikes that we get. If one of us hits a third strike, the other one wins automatically. No Googling. You may Control F search to see if we've done a random wolf in the past. Are you guys ready? Are you ready?
Let's go, boys. This random wolf of the week is the first from this specific Timberwolves team. So how I will clarify that is the algorithm has never pulled a Timberwolf from this team until this random wolf of the week.
That's a fascinating clue.
I mean,
for
can
so
also
many
be really
reasons.
confusing.
That's
yeah, that can also be really confusing.
Well,
Wesley
I'll
Johnson.
talk through it. Oh, that's the heat check guess?
Wesley Johnson.
Yeah, if you have your list in front of you, you can kind of start trying to deduct maybe where this player came from, but that's a lot of work.
So Wesley Johnson, that's Kyle's heat check guess.
Kyle, that is not correct.
Okay. Spud Webb.
Oh, like the use of the name Spud Webb, that is not correct.
Damn it.
We should do a whole pod on just best sports names. Spud Webb is probably not a gold medalist, but he's in there. He's on the medal stand. That's a good.
Should we do a top 100 Timberwolves, but instead of ranked by caliber of play, it's ranked by how much we like their name?
Yes. Next off season.
Give me one that comes to your mind really quick.
Like Sebastian Telfair has a great name.
That's a good name. Okay. Yeah. Nas Reed is actually probably the winner, right?
Nas Reed would be number one.
Okay.
Or you could go nicknames like AK-47, Andre Kirilenko.
The Pexecutioner? Yeah. Okay. Keep going, Ross.
I used to love saying Stojko Vrankovic.
Yeah.
That's a great name. Stojko
It always seemed
Vrankovic.
like that guy he looked like a guy that would set his cigarette down on the free throw line while he
he did.
took his free throws.
This random wolf of the week, gentlemen, played on the West Coast, the East Coast, and counting Minneapolis, flyover territory. So he spent some time playing for other franchises. This random wolf of the week played two different positions in the NBA, per our friends at Basketball Reference.
Switchable.
Yep.
I feel like most guys do.
Combo player. I think that's most guys in the NBA, especially in this time frame. This random wolf of the week finished his college career playing in the SEC. This random wolf of the week played college ball with NBA players Robert Horry, a.k.a. Big Shot Bob, Jason Caffey, James Robinson, and not Spud Webb, Marcus Webb.
Oh, man.
You boys are pondering. I like this one. Christian pondering are you boys.
Dude, I was close on Spud Webb, man. I was right in the wheelhouse.
This random wolf of the week was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
LaFonso Ellis.
Oh, great guess. Good time frame. Not correct.
Oh, I thought that might have been it.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
All right, I'm down one guess. Kyle still has all three of his.
This random wolf of the week never averaged less than 12.8 points per game in the NBA.
Ross. The way Ross words everything is like dicey. Like I know.
So wait, he never averaged
Yeah.
less than 12 points a game. Never averaged less than, right?
12.8. Almost 13 points a game, if my Minnesota math tells me correct, by rounding up. This random wolf of the week played in less than 1,000 career NBA games. As we're about halfway through my pre-made up clues, I like that you drop that hint of the way I word things because sometimes I word them intentionally to lead you down a road.
I know.
Sometimes they're not worded intentionally at all, but you think they're worded intentionally, which makes it twice as fun.
What's
Okay,
amazing is like you've narrowed it down to an era and a points per game essentially, where it can only possibly be like
a
handful of
players.
guys. That's the crazy thing.
Okay, so I'll reread the last clue. This random wolf of the week played in less than 1,000 career NBA games. I'll follow that up by telling you this random wolf of the week appeared in more than 900 games.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a filler clue here. This random wolf of the week.
It's like, yeah, I'm just stalling at this point.
I'm just telling you, he played in a lot of games. That was my best doogie, by the way. I'm just telling you. This random wolf of the week started 95% of his NBA games.
Okay. So
Specifically, 868 out of 913 games.
I have no idea where most of these players went to college, so that's my ultimate kryptonite. I have two guesses, but I only have two guesses left. Oh man. How close are you, Kyle?
there's a guy, but I don't think I knew he played college in the SEC. So, but we're cooking a little bit. The East Coast, West Coast flyover country might have been juicy, but
Joe Smith. Is it Joe Smith?
Is it Joe Smith?
that was one of my guys.
Good work. Nope, not right, Phil.
Oh, I thought okay. I had that written down.
This random wolf of the week, this might help Kyle, not by intention, but he's buried a little, or he's hinted at things that help him. This random wolf of the week is a former late first round pick in the early 1990s.
I think I know it.
Late first round pick in the early 1990s. Okay.
1990s.
You're a wordsmith.
I think I might know it, but I also only get the one guess.
Well, maybe this will
is
help you
strategy.
out,
I'm
Phil.
leaning on Phil. I dare you to
You
ask
said
another one.
in the early 90s or late? Early.
In the early 90s.
Early 90s.
Yeah, okay.
This random wolf of the week is a 4-time NBA All-Star.
Holy cow. No, that's not the one I was thinking of.
I think I might. No, one more.
This random wolf of the week's last NBA team was the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, Latrell Sprewell.
God, you're good. It is Latrell
Dude,
Sprewell.
nice job, dude. Nice job.
Drafted by the Warriors, right? You had me thinking a little bit.
That's West Coast.
Knicks.
And then he went to the Knicks.
Yeah, dude.
But I
East
did not
Coast?
know he played in the SEC. And I definitely didn't know he played with Robert Horry. That's awesome. So what school was it, Ross?
Alabama.
Oh, interesting. He must have transferred.
He started at a JUCO and went to Bama.
Okay. I remember because I remember like looking into his not rivals, but his.
I really thought we were going to get to the 3 best clues, which were this random Wolf of the Week appeared in 2 conference finals and 1 NBA finals. Of course, conference final with the Wolves, NBA finals with the Knicks in that strike-shortened year. This random Wolf of the Week once held the honor of longest suspension in NBA history.
Choking PJ Carlissimo, right?
That
On
is
the
correct.
sideline during a game? Or was it at practice?
Practice.
Choked him at practice.
Practice after allegedly earlier in that practice threatening to shoot him. I didn't know that until I looked that up. So that was a banner day for Latrell Sprewell.
At least he showed some self-restraint.
And then this random Wolf of the Week had a family to feed. You guys would have nailed it at that one. Yeah.
23 years, $21 million. I got kids to feed. Amazing. Well, congrats to Kyle's 20th career victory in random.
We have a
Wolf of the
football
Week.
score. It's 20 to 10. It's a
I thought you
football
had it
score.
with Joe Smith. That one spooked me. So that was a really good guess.
The other two, the other two that I had were Tom Gugliotta and Chuck Person was in my bag for a minute there. Remember Chuck Person?
Yeah, I think Tom Gugliotta played at NC State.
Okay.
So I would have known.
I believe you're right.
So,
I'll still never get over Big Shot Bob winning 7 NBA championships. It's 7,
pretty
right?
incredible.
yeah.
It's nuts. Houston.
Spurs.
Yep, Houston,
Lakers.
the Spurs, and then he had one at the end with... No, the one at the end was with the Spurs.
He had 2. So he had 2 with Houston.
Yep.
3 with the Lakers. And then 2 with the Spurs, right? Didn't he have 2? Because the Spurs were winning every other year there for
That's nuts.
a period.
I
Just
got
for
2.
fun.
I got 2 last things in my bag. Speaking of Doogie, because he said this. Phil, did I tell you this yet? I think Media Day is 2 weeks from Monday.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the 30th. So we're getting really close on that. And then I meant to say this at the top, but I did want to say this now because I know you guys will have my back. But we tried to use this platform for other things, and I wanted to get this off my chest, but talk about cancer research and all that stuff. But September is Suicide Prevention Month. And if you made it this long, just want to say again, whatever you're going through, whatever you got going on in life, you're not alone. And there's a lot of good resources out there. Again, hit us up at any of our channels, whatever, if you ever need someone to reach out to or talk to. But again, it's a big month for me and my extended family. So this was all fun. I hope this entertained you. Not to completely just kill the vibe here, but don't ever think you're alone. Don't ever think whatever you got going on is not something that can be fixed, because we love everyone that listens to this, and we want to be there for you in your time of need. So love you guys.
Amen.
Yeah, well said.
Amen, dude.
Well said.
And if you have expansion draft hypothetical takes, you let us know, and we will probably bring them back to the show at some point.
That's the happiest I've ever seen you on this pod. You are going to be texting me all day long.
Oh, man. For producer Ross, he's Kyle Theige. I'm Phil Mackey, and this is a Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.